But Marvel Snap Zone, I don't have those cards. This is arguably the phrase I see more than any other right now in Marvel Snap, and it's exceptionally disheartening to see so many players who want to play the game but don't have the cards they're looking for in order to compete, or want to compete but don't feel like they can. We've been doing our best at Marvel Snap Zone to release a variety of content tailored towards all kinds of players. Of course, the tier list every week is going to be tailored towards those with full flush collections, but we do aim to do videos with no Series 3 cards or no Series 4 and 5 cards. Heck, we even have a series of 76 decks for every single Pool 3 card as soon as you open it. Unfortunately, there is only so much content you can make about the same sets of cards for new players, but we do understand that players are joining us all the time, and sometimes that content isn't readily available, sometimes it is a little bit out of date. I promise we are doing our best to make content about Series 1, Series 2, and early Series 3 where possible, so thank you for supporting the channel while we do so. And today is one of those videos. I'm doing my best to find deck lists that maybe other people aren't experimenting with right now that will allow you to compete at the higher ranks of Marvel Snap. Now, I shouldn't really be doing this at rank 86 or 7, but I don't think this can wait any longer. I don't want to wait until I get to Infinite to try and put out content that appeals to these players because there's a desperate need for it right now. So we're going to compete at the rank I'm at, and hopefully that puts on enough of a showing to show you that you can climb up the ladder, even up in collection level near 5,000 with a deck that only contains cards from Pool 2. And this is the deck I have chosen to do it. Let me introduce you today to Pool 2 Anti-Meta. This is a deck I built deliberately for this video to show you that we can win games at a high rank on the Marvel Snap ladder without access to Pool 3, regardless of my MMR, regardless of my collection level, regardless of everything that I own. My current collection level is over 4,700, and today I'm going to show you unedited game footage of playing games at rank 85 with this deck to show that it is capable of winning multiple games in a row, not just cut up to show you some games I won by playing 30 to 40 games. Let's break this one down. First of all, I don't think this is perfect. I actually think there are a few ways to move and navigate this based on the Pool 2 metagame you might be seeing that I'm not, because a little bit of guesswork had to go into that, because I'm obviously still going to play against a pile of Silver Surfer and Zabu players, when you might not do that if you're a little lower down in the series. Iceman here is a fantastic tool for players in Pool 2. It's great to tax your opponent's hands, and a lot of people think it's not as good as it is because its effect is quite silent. You'll never know when an Iceman tax might have actually won you a game by disrupting your opponent's curve, but I promise you, every time it happens to you, you'll remember the card that Iceman hit, and that should be a testament to how powerful this effect can be. Nightcrawler is here very much to help us with our getting into locations we're cutting off or might be sticky to get into. We have effects like Storm in this deck, and there are many locations in Marvel Snap that we can't access without an effect like Nightcrawler or Doctor Doom, such as Death's Domain, Luke's Bar, or Sanctum Sanctorium. Nightcrawler gives us a cheap way of doing that interacts well with Storm, and also plays well with Angela as another way to create an extra spot to gain extra stats on that card. Nova is here to play well with Killmonger. It is very much a 1-2 punch I'm sure you'll be used to at this point in your Marvel Snap journey. You may notice, however, there are 3 1-drops in this Killmonger deck. Now, that might be a bit of an issue, but I do think the non-bow is mostly worth it. I think you're going to be seeing a good, decent amount of Kazoo still at your point in your Marvel Snap journey, so Killmonger just becomes a necessary evil in these anti-meta decks. So we're limiting the amount of 1-drops we play, but we're making 2 of them kind of okay to kill with the Killmonger and only really have Nightcrawler as a non-synergy, but I can definitely see it as something you might want to address if it concerns you. Angela is commonly referred to as one of the best 2-drops in the game, even after its recent-ish nerf. It just represents way more stats on a 2-drop body than many other cards available to you at this moment in time. Speaking of stats being available to you at this moment in time, Scorpion is a card I see many new players completely underestimating. In a deck like this, stats are important. We have to win the early game to be able to challenge our opponent with a card like Leech or America Chavez later on, or maybe even steal a game with Shang-Chi. Scorpion secretly represents 8 power. You might not always see it, but sometimes playing this 2-cost, 2-power card will knock 4 or 5 power off your opponent's hand, depending on when you're able to get it into play. That's a really big 2-drop if you add all those stats together. Speaking of big 2-drops, Lizard is very much the same. We can be very strategic about where we put our Lizard, hiding it in a stormed location, or keeping it somewhere that we don't think our opponent is going to want to play, to keep that 5 power body nice and big, and make sure that we have reveal priority at all the times when it matters. Storm is a powerhouse here. It plays very, very well with effects like Nightcrawler and Jessica Jones to help us lock up a lane early and make sure that our opponent can't challenge us in those spots. Location denial is always strong in Marvel Snap, and building your deck to be able to abuse it with toys like Jessica Jones and Nightcrawler is a surefire, well-known power punch at this point. We looked at Killmonger briefly already. We expect to see a lot of 1-drops and a lot of Kazoo out there in the field at your point in this journey, and that makes it kind of a necessary evil, which I'm sure most of you were already aware. Shang-Chi is definitely shining right now out there in Marvel Snap. Lots of big cards coming down, especially if you're unlucky enough to bump into these Red Skulls and these Shuris that are putting out massive amounts of stats on the final turn. But even if you're not, Shang-Chi offers you a guaranteed way to kill America Chavez, to kill cards like the Hulk, and steal a lane all by themselves on the final turn of the game. Sometimes that can be more than enough, because Storm and Jessica Jones have guaranteed you the first lane already. Leech is the card in this deck that might make you feel a little bit dirty, but it is, I think, a necessary evil right now to handle the amount of Silver Surfer that is out there. I don't think it's a deck you can really feasibly beat without access to Leech, because unfortunately, if you storm off a location, they can still put extra stats in there quite easily. Leech is your answer to that. Take the card's abilities away from them on the final turn of the game and prevent them from having that final power push. Thankfully, this also gives you extra game against something like Death Wave if you happen to bump into it, because you have the ability to remove that ability from Death and She-Hulk as well. Last but not least, we have ourselves with America Chavez. The consistency tool everyone kind of knows at this point, and your big endgame finisher. You'll often find yourself wanting a final turn play in a deck like this, and having a guaranteed 9 power is definitely nothing to turn your nose up at, and making sure that you can draw the combinations you need early, such as Storm and Jessica Jones, or things like Killmonger Nova, or even just Leech in the matchups where it means a lot, and find those cards more consistently, is secret power America Chavez has hidden behind her. If you want to see more content like this, you're going to have to let me know. Make sure to like this video for me, press the thumb, and leave a comment down below. Not only will you be helping the algorithm to find this content for more players out there who might be in need of Pool 2 content, but you'll help us reach more people overall, and we very much appreciate that. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of the content that we're putting out in the near future. And with all that said, let's get into the games and show you what this one was all about. Okie dokie then, let's go and take this one out for a spin and see if we can't cause some havoc with a little bit of Pool 2 goodness. Vibranium Mines, is this something we kind of want to avoid early while we're finding our stuff? We can play into it a bit later when we don't have to worry about America Chavez. Well, we know we're going to be drawing America Chavez, so we don't have to worry about drawing Vibranium. So I think we're just going to Iceman mid. Stay out of Vibranium Mines if we can for now. Atalan. Sure. Well, we can play on curve pretty reasonably early. So let's Scorpion. Ping our opponent's hand for chunks of stats. Goose. Okay, Goose might be slightly problematic, actually. Depending on how we can let ourselves to play into a location. Interesting. Do we Storm and hope we repeal the Jessica? Or do we just Lizard and guarantee those stats? I think I want to Storm Vibranium Mines here, actually. I think this is the play. Have the hand shuffled away, hopefully redraw the Jessica to stick it behind the Storm. Always thought my opponent was less likely to play here because of the Goose and already middle contested. Oh! Atalan might be a bit broken. There we go. Takes a second, but eventually you can re-kickstart it. We did, in fact, repeal the Jessica, so let's go. Dream Dimension might be a little bit annoying here. I think this is okay. Final Juggernaut. Okay, that's actually somewhat annoying, but it does mean we get Jessica Jones into the Dream Dimension, which we weren't going to be playing in here really anyway. Ooh, that's a good one. So we can go Lizard, Nightcrawler. So we now can't really Killmonger, but we're going to Chavez a lot of the time here anyway. And then look to move the Nightcrawler into Flooded a lot of the time here if we think we don't have to worry about Surfer. Maybe we move it into Dream Dimension if we do. But it will Storm again. So I think... Man, Surfer makes this so awkward for us. Never mind. Opponent must not have it. Which is fine. I'm not going to complain. But basically the plan here was to move Nightcrawler into Dream Dimension, play Chavez into Flooding. But I think there's a chance I should have moved Nightcrawler into Flooding. No, I think you move it into Dream Dimension there and play Chavez mid. We can't play Chavez behind the Goose. So we have to play it mid, which means we have to move the Nightcrawler out to try and beat... So we don't beat Surfer by going either way. So it's like, what do we beat? So I guess for that reason you move the Nightcrawler left, in case there's not a Surfer. So we probably move Nightcrawler into Flooded and play Chavez mid. But there you go. No Surfer means we will indeed take that one down. We go again. See if we can't cause a little bit of chaos once again with our anti-meta list heading up into higher end competition. So we'll save the Vormir trigger for Nova if nothing else. Get some bodies in play before we do that. Lizard. Lizard's pretty good, but I imagine it wants to stay out of Stark Tower. I imagine players will be fighting for this like a lot of the time. So let's just Scorpion our opponent's hand. No contest in plays here early. Okay. So I'll go Lizard, and I might Nova now, so I can Jessica Jones into Vormir. Alternatively, I can just Nightcrawler here, Jessica Jones into Stark Tower. And then move the Nightcrawler later. That seems better. Zabu from the opponent, so big flashy stuff incoming. So we just Jessica Jones. Killmonger obviously coming up a little late here. Will conflict with our Nightcrawler and Iceman, so probably doesn't get played. But on average, probably going to be good enough against most people when you're one drop light to be worthwhile, I think, in this list. We could definitely play Armor instead of like maybe Angela really in a pinch, or instead of... I quite like our 2-drops, to be fair, so it's a bit of a hard sell to, well, hello Leech. Dracula is unfortunately kind of terrifying. We are going to Leech, but I don't think I'm confident enough to snap on said Leech. Opponent's hand could be empty. Yeah, jeez. Zabu doing Zabu things. Sunspot has died. Enchantress. Shang-Chi. Well, we managed to dodge the Shang-Chi by playing a card into Atlantis, which was quite good. We draw the Chavez. What's the best way of us challenging this now? So opponent has 3 cards in hand. Part of me thinks we aren't winning mid. Because of this big old Dracula. Maybe we just have to try. Real shame about this Killmonger here, to be honest. Would be nice if we could just pop Nova into Vormir and play something else. Unfortunately, it kills too much of our power, I think. Let's go for this. Opponent plays a Ghost Rider with no ability. Lady Sif with no ability does discard. Way! Chavez no good. Chavezing mid actually got us there against the Dracula, which is kind of crazy. Had me sweating. The Leech coming in kind of clutch. All right. 3-game set. Let's see if we can take home the third one as well. Fingers crossed. Dark Dimension. Don't really want to hide Nova in the Dark Dimension. Let's hope he doesn't get stuck somewhere. But we can always stack up an Angela pile maybe here. Maybe we just Angela Storm. Kiln. Okay, Scorpion's much safer here, I think. Are we supposed to Angela Scorpion? I don't think so. I think I'm more likely to Scorpion Lizard. Try and take Kiln that way. So, okay, so the plan here is to storm Mojo World and put pressure on my opponent as to where they're supposed to play. They go into Kiln. With a Thor. So now we get the choice of how we want to dice up our stuff here. And what lane we want to play for. And I think the Thor makes me want to play for flooding. This is tough though. Maybe we try this and we go Angela Lizard. Opponent will Jubilee in flooding. Hits the Mjolnir. That's not ideal, but it means I think we get flooding a lot of the time. The Leech actually looks kind of bad here, so the plan for me is to go Iceman, Shang-Chi, and then stick Chavez behind this. As that final chunk of damage. Hopefully no, like, Doctor Doom from the opponent. Whoa! Well, we're about to find out what the party's like. About to be a real big set of fireworks from this Dark Dimension. Let's see who comes out on top. Us. Opponent wants no part of that. Very, very nice. We keep it going. Another cube picked up with the anti-meta deck. I'll keep going until we take a loss. I will do my best to keep this as one full edit. I think it's important with this video to show that we're not like chopping up our wins because of the reason behind it. So when we finally take a loss, I will stop playing the deck for now. But 3-0 so far. Nova Cosmo getting pulled here, and it's not the best for us, to be honest, but we didn't really have any good pulls in our opening hand in the first place. Dream Dimension is mostly a location we can play through. Just going to just going to Scorpion our opponent here, knock some stats off their hand. Savage Land, make some Raptors, sure. Let's try and storm a location out. So we'll storm and try and stick the Lizard behind it. Opponent will Maximus on the Cosmo, no cards drawn for us. So Lizard. I think the Angela goes here just because it's never doing anything in the Savage Lands. Sadly, the Shang-Chi will never do anything in Sakaar. And I think for the most part, 9 mid is enough. Opponent does play Scorpion mid, knocks some stats off our hand, sure. So I think we probably have the Flooded Zone locked up a lot of the time. Now it's securing one of the others. Nightcrawler's an interesting one here because we can move it around. Gonna hold this Shang-Chi. We need some help here. Final arrow. Ooh, sugar. That's not good. So is this Chavez ever good enough? Maybe. Plus 13 over here. Let's give it a shake. Opponent with the Doom. Doom is no good. 2 more cubes. With our lovely list here so far. Stealing another one from underneath Aero and Dr. Doom. Let's keep the train going. Keep on recovering our way up from 85, 86, so on and so forth. Very smooth. Oh, negative zone. Negative zone's a bit rubbish for us. That's not really a location we want to see. Maybe I should have held this Iceman for the Killmonger, but I don't think so. I think for the most part, the Killmonger is going to be discarded and in the bin from Sokovia, so why would I hold my cards? So the trick here, folks, is to go Lizard on 2, storm out the negative zone on 3 when my opponent definitely doesn't want to play there. And it looks a little inconspicuous because, quite frankly, I could want to play Lizard here anyway because it actually has power in the negative zone, which a lot of things won't. Opponent plays into Baxter Building, makes a lot of sense. Will Rhino the Baxter Building. Okay, well, I was worried about contesting that, but a little less so at this point. Ooh, interesting question now. Is 7 enough in the flooded zone? Might be, might not be. Kinda dodgy. I think I'm splitting the difference a little bit here. Might regret this. It's not going to be enough, is it? Oh, okay. Oh, that's even worse. How do you... Oh. Iceman hit... Oh, okay. Nightcrawler might give us a shot. Opponent will Sarah, so we do have to be aware of the Surfer. We might not be able to beat the Surfer here, unfortunately. Four cards in hand, 3 cards in deck. Man, imagine if this hadn't been hit and we'd been able to spike that Surfer. And take the leeched ability off of it. Unfortunate. For a cube, do I take the chance they didn't draw a Silver Surfer? I think for the video I will. I think there's a good chance I might retreat here, but I don't want to count like a retreat as a loss or whatever, so we'll keep playing here. If the opponent snaps, I'm out of here, but I think we win if there is no Silver Surfer, so we'll try it. Looks like there's a pretty good chance there's a Surfer here, though, sadly. Zabu, Wolfsbane, Surfer mid will do the job. Not quite. This was very winnable. If we hadn't had the Leech get hit by the Iceman, that would have been pretty disgusting. But unfortunately, the streak comes to an end. I think this is definitely the shell for me for Pool 2 at the moment. I'm not sure this is the perfect list. I think you can play around with some numbers and some cards. I think Leech is required for these Surfer decks right now. Possible that you don't want Nightcrawler and Killmonger in the same deck. But I think this is just so good in Pool 2 against the amount of Kazoo and stuff you'll be playing at that point, in theory, that you want to play it Nightcrawler plays so well with Storm and Angela that I think it's worth the Nombo, but debatable. I think you could definitely see myself cutting one or the other, depending on, your preferences. Iceman was great, Scorpion's great, Lizard's great, Shang-Chi, Jessica Jones, both also great. So I think this is where I would start. If you're looking for a budget choice right now, you want to chain off some wins, even at higher collection levels, as we kind of said in the intro, where I'm at 4,870. People can have every single Season 5 card against me. No bells and whistles, no issue, no concerns. And that's pretty telling, right? That this is something we can do and have a chance. So here's hoping this helps somebody out there. And this is a deck that you can put on your shoulders and have a good time with and score some cubes if you're trying to rank up on a budget. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I would love to see you again for more of this in the future. But until next time, I am HowlingMines. You are amazing. Take care. Have a good night. I'll see you soon. This has been Marvel Snap Zone.